Hello and welcome to Maldorma TV. This is episode 12 and I'm Magnus.
And I'm Tobias. In this episode we're going to talk about Maharaji, and that's something that really excites me because I had a really strong experience where I actually met Maharaji.
Yeah, and Maharaji was this Indian guru, also named Neem Karoli Baba, and he was made famous by the American Ram Dass in particular, but also guys as Krishna Das and Bhagavan Das.
I think those three guys are the ones who made him famous.
And they were pretty much back in the hippie era in the United States, where a lot of Westerners traveled to India.
Yeah, and the story of Ram Dass is how he met Maharaji was that, similar to us, he started experimenting with psychedelics to begin with. And he felt like with his experiences, he wanted to find out what he had experienced, basically.
Yeah, he had a lot of spiritual experiences where he was blown away. He was a Harvard professor before this, and had these experiences, but he couldn't really make sense out of his experiences, and he always went up and then down and became depressed when he was not on drugs.
Yeah.
So he kind of realized that there has to be more to this, and traveled to India to examine this, and met his guru, Maharaji, or Neem Karoli Baba. And Maharaji showed him that what he experienced on psychedelics is really within you.
Yeah.
I think he actually gave Maharaji LSD and nothing happened. And he gave a really large dose.
Yeah, I think it was like a dosage for 5 for a person. And I mean, he thought that something has to happen. He took a really big dosage and nothing happened. He was just still in this experience. And he looked at Ram Dass and he said, after like a few hours, and he just looked at Ram Dass and said, it's already within me.
Yeah, he showed him that it's within.
Yeah.
So Ram Dass stayed with him for several years and became... his name was Richard Alpert as a professor, but Maharaji gave him the name Ram Dass, which means servant of God.
Yeah. And I was lucky enough to meet Maharaji in one of my psychedelic experiences. Yeah. So I'm going to share that experience with you.
But we can start off. I have a small thing during the same experience that I can take first.
Yeah, sure.
So we had this, you and I took psychedelics and have had one of our experiences that we have talked so much about. And it started off with me getting a connection with the spiritual world and with God. And I was channeling information. And God was showing me that if you see God in everything, because everything is basically one. We have talked about this before.
Yeah.
That our external world is actually not external. It's a reflection of ourselves. We are everything. We are part of a consciousness that is everything. And it takes form as a physical world for us.
Yeah.
But it can have other forms as well. And everything is God, including ourselves. And what God was talking about during this experience is, he said, when you see God in everything you meet, absolutely everything, you will automatically make everything one.
Yeah.
Because you are God, and everything you meet, you look at as it was a reflection of yourself, as it was God. And when you do this, suffering will completely disappear. Because God told me suffering can only be when you have a dualistic worldview. Because suffering is a friction that is created by two objects. That if you look at your surroundings as separate from yourself, that will create friction. That is suffering. But if you look at your surroundings and everything you experience as yourself, as one, there can be no friction, because there can not be friction if there is only one. So if you have this approach that everything is God, everything is you, suffering will disappear.
Yeah, I mean, it's the ego that's want to create the separation.
Yeah.
But if you see that everyone is you have no arguments that will support you that you should hurt that person, because it's you. Yeah. Everything is you. Even the the animals, the plants, everything. It's just you.
Yeah, and but of course this is easily said but harder to do, because it's so easy to step in different traps of the ego and the dualistic worldview. You think that you are you're really trying this, but you kind of fall in traps all the time.
Yeah.
But that's okay as well.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, you shouldn't judge yourself whenever you do something wrong.
Yeah.
I know that's what I did in the beginning of my spiritual journey.
Yeah.
I started like doing all these developments within my spiritual journey or my spiritual development. But the moment I made a mistake, I was really judgmental to myself.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I really fucked up here, and I really thought bad about this person over here.
Yeah.
And that's not something that you should really put on your shoulders.
One thing that we actually do right now is empowering this dualistic worldview by talking about the ego as a separate thing.
Yeah.
That is a dualistic view right there, that it's me and it's the ego.
Yeah.
The ego and me is the same thing, and we have to take everything and just make one of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but that happened, and when I channeled this, you had your own experience that was really amazing.
Yeah, I just remember when it started kicking in, because usually it takes about 30-40 minutes before you start feeling any sensation at all.
Yeah.
And I just remember after like 10 minutes that, whoa, something is happening. And after about 20 minutes, it was just really, really intense.
Yeah.
And I was just saying to you that, all right, I need to just lie in bed and hold on, because this is going to be a hell of a ride. And I couldn't manage any music that we usually listen to and try to like go deeper within the consciousness, but it was just coming on so strong.
Yeah.
So I just remember I went to a small cabin that we have outside of the house.
Yeah.
I just lay down there, and prior to this, I had seen the movie Fierce Grace.
Yeah, it's a documentary about Ramdas and how he met Maharaji and all of that.
Yeah, basically the things that he talked about in his book Be Here Now is Fierce Grace is based on those experiences as well.
Yeah.
So I remember prior to this that I had seen the movie Fierce Grace, and I have to admit that I really started thinking about the consciousness that Maharaji was within.
Yeah.
What he was. And
it was an extraordinary expression of
of God,
perfect human, of God.
Yeah, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I can become that as well. Like, I have had all these cool experiences, so maybe I'm almost ready.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. So I thought about that, and I thought about Maharaji prior to this experience, and when the experience started to happen, it was just really intense, and I didn't know at the time that it was Maharaji playing with me, but I went up in the cabin and I could just feel it becoming more and more intense, and everything I was looking at was just was the most visual that I have ever had during a psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
And I just thought to myself, how am I going to manage all this? How am I going to live through this? But I started to convince myself, all right, this is what I've thrown myself into. I just need to relax and just let it happen.
Yeah.
But it became really, really intense. And when it was as intense as I could handle, I looked at the mirror that was in the room, and I saw a face smiling back at me.
Yeah.
A smiling face, and it was Maharaji.
All right.
I could see Maharaji looking at me in the mirror.
Okay.
And I knew instantly that, all right, he's here.
Yeah.
He's the one orchestrating all this really powerful experience.
Yeah. Cool.
And I was mind blown by that. And then he did something really, mind blowing. That's the only word I can use here. He took my consciousness, my identity, my
Tobias Alberg.
Yeah, exactly. He took my Tobias Alberg and just pulled it out. And when he pulled it out, it was just a emptiness. I couldn't remember who I was anymore.
All right.
Like, who was Tobias Alberg? I had no idea.
All right.
Then just a quick second later, he put some other consciousness in there. So I was experiencing myself as a different person. Then he pulled that out, put something else in there. So I was experiencing all these different personalities. And I realized that what he was doing was that he was showing me that he's everyone. He's me, he's all the persons around, he's all the personalities simultaneously. He's everyone.
Yeah, and also he was showing you that you are everyone, basically, and also that you are not who you think you are.
Yeah.
You are the observer of everyone.
Yeah, and that experience was just, just mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Just having your identity just pulled away from you.
Yeah.
And experiencing all these different personalities within myself in just a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And then he was just saying to me like, "All right, let's go." But what do you mean? Like, all right, you want to become me? Okay, jump on board. Let's go.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I can't handle that. I mean, the energy that was in the room was just so intense, and he like I got the sensation that if I would have went with him, it would have gone from like I wasn't experiencing a snail's pace, and where he was experiencing was like going from a snail's pace to a Ferrari.
Yeah,
it was such a big difference from what I was experiencing at that moment to where he was.
Yeah.
And that showed me something really important, and that was like, okay, I'm not Maharaji. I'm not at that level yet.
Yeah.
It was. I think I went down into one of the oldest traps in spiritual journey, that you think yourself more than you are.
Kind of a spiritual hubris.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was a very, very humbling experience.
For sure. And what he was doing, he was still like, I was saying, no, I want to stay, like myself. And he was like, no, say goodbye to your brother, say goodbye to your mother, say goodbye to all your friends and family, because now you're going to be someone else. You're not going to be Tobias Albert anymore. You're going to be someone else. Just come along now. Here, come on. And he was just pulling me.
Yeah.
And I could felt like my consciousness was just like being pulled by this enormous force.
Yeah.
And I was just holding on for dear life, like, no, don't take me away. And after a while, he let go, and he said, like, all right. He showed me that, all right, I'm not ready.
Yeah.
And he said, the day, this is interesting, he explained to me that when you want to become God, if you will, or enlightened, it's just a choice away.
Yeah.
When you want to wake up, it's just one choice away.
Yeah.
But making that choice, that I wasn't ready when Maharaji was pulling me. He gave me every opportunity to wake up in that moment.
Yeah.
And he showed me how tough that choice can be.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready to make the choice of letting go of your ego, letting go of everything that your identity is bound to in a moment. But when you do that, when you make the choice, when you let go, that's when you will find your true self.
Yeah.
And it's it's easier said than done.
Yeah, because it involves throwing yourself into the unknown, into the abyss, and see what happens, and hope to, land softly. And even though you have heard other persons say that it's amazing, it's full of bliss and all that, but when you stand at the edge, and you can feel the presence, the enormous force, it's not that easy.
No, it's one thing also of letting go of who you are.
Yeah,
that's one thing, but it's also, I have to admit that it's also a fear of what you will become.
Yeah,
because you will become something so enormous, so spectacular, that it's a struggle to go to accept that you are that.
Yeah. And
especially if you look at society, how it's structure us to like pressure us down to making us feel insignificant.
Yeah.
But now you get to
and that's why I think that even though you can make the transition whenever in a moment, most people need years of spiritual practice, because that's what spiritual practice really is making yourself ready.
Yeah.
In different ways. And for us, it has been, using psychedelics, using meditation and all that. And gradually, your desire to finally meet this grows more and more till the day when you feel, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, in theory, you don't have to make the spiritual practice.
No.
Because you can just, I think they talk about this in A Course in of Miracles.
Yeah.
They say like spiritual practice is actually not needed.
Yeah.
What you need to do is just accept that you are God, basically.
A lot of gurus say that, such as the Indian guru Ramana Maharajji.
Yeah.
And his devotee, who also became enlightened, Robert Adams, say the same thing, that you don't have to do any spiritual practice at all. But on the contrary, he also says that most people have to do it because it makes you ready.
Yeah.
But if you're ready now, you can just take the jump.
Yeah.
Basically.
The spiritual practice is just a way of convincing yourself that you're ready to become this.
Yeah, and kind of to make yourself accustomed to these vibrations and experiences. Because if I use myself as an example, all of the experiences that you and I have had on psychedelics has made me more and more ready to actually want to look at this. In the beginning, I think I talked about this in the previous episode, when God pretty much gave me the opportunity to wake up and step into God.
Yeah.
The God experience right away. And I was terrified. Even though I could feel the love and the bliss just pouring out of him on me. And I felt, Jesus, am I ready for this? I mean, I am Magnus, that's gonna kind of dissolve in a way and also become this super powerful entity. But I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
At least not then. But also, it's possible to do it in a more gradual way if you like to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I mean, it's also, I don't think you should underestimate the journey there as well. I mean, that can be quite enjoyable as well.
Yeah.
It's not going to be comparable as enjoyable as it will be when you wake up, but if you prefer it, then go that way.
But I feel very fortunate to have had the experience of actually experiencing these kind of states of being, at least glimpses of it, and standing at the very edge, because that have made me appreciate the journey much more.
Yeah.
Because I know that it will happen when I'm ready, and I decide when I'm ready, and I can just enjoy the ride and go there gradually. And we have done this since these experiences as well, and explore this in much deeper, which we will talk about in future episodes.
And I think as well, I mean, there's no reason really to make it like a competition, or to really make it as I need to go there fast, because I mean, you have infinity to reach this destination. There's no reason why you need to do it tomorrow. I mean, if you want to experience it tomorrow, by all means go ahead, but you got infinity on you.
And there's no hurry, and you don't even have to do it, but it will happen. It's inevitable. It will happen anyway at some point, but it will happen when you want it. It's inevitable that you will want it. And what I have experienced for myself is the longing, the desire to be with God in every second is just, it grows on you, and it has become so big that it's pretty much everything I want. It has expanded to be who I am.
It's like a fire that's growing within you, and once the fire starts expanding, all desires, all ego thoughts, everything that the ego wants just burns away more and more, and you gradually get closer and closer to awakening.
And the reason that it's impossible to not want to go there eventually is because it's who you are.
Yeah.
How can you not want to be who you are? Because it's who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
It's just that we are fooling ourselves to be someone else,
Yeah.
and it's just a drag actually when you realize that, okay, I better accept this.
Yeah.
I cannot deny myself forever.
Yeah, and once you get a glimpse of it, that's enough, I think. Before you can't go back once you have seen a glimpse of what you are.
Yeah, and in the beginning it was more like you had an experience, but you still kind of defined it as Magnus Alberg having an experience.
Yeah.
But the more we have explored this, the deeper the feeling has become that it's me.
Yeah.
And I am this, what I'm experiencing. And when you start to have that sensation, you start to look at it in yourself, and it's just, and the desire to move into this is just overwhelming.
I just remember that when you say that you see yourself as the experience.
Yeah.
What I experienced when I was when I had my meeting with Maharaji was that I remember looking around the room.
Yeah.
And I looked out the window and I could see the clouds and I could see the blue sky.
Yeah.
Everything I was looking at was Maharaji.
Yeah.
That was his state of consciousness. He was everything.
Yeah.
And once you realize that you are also Maharaji, you are also I'm also you, and you are also me. You start to see that everything is you, and that experience.
Maharaji is only reflecting your divine nature through the apparent other person.
Yeah,
and I that's how it works.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing that we how it works, that these enlightened people start coming up throughout the world and just showing us what we really are.
What they do actually is, you are everything, but you're in denial basically.
Yeah.
And you're in self-denial. But by meeting a reflection of yourself that you think is someone else, that is reflecting how you truly are.
Yeah.
It gives the ego, the mind, a permission slip to see that in that person.
Yeah.
And it will automatically reflect back to you and awaken something inside of you that will make you gradually understand, it was me all along.
Yeah.
All along. And that realization is so powerful. When you realize, not in theory, not within mind, because you can have the theoretical understanding and believe in it.
Yeah.
But when you start experiencing it, it's just... It flips everything around.
Yeah, and I think that when I met Maharaji, it was the first time I got a taste of it, of like feeling that, all right, this is what I am. Because I could before this, I could understand in theory, okay, we're all one, we're all unconditional love and everything like that. But there's a thing that happens when you get the experience.
Yeah.
That's something completely different.
Yeah.
Then you understand it on a deeper level. You see that, all right, it actually is like it's said in the books.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that can have a really tremendous effect on you.
Yeah. And I know a lot of people that I talk to sometimes, when we talk about our experiences to people who have not had their own experiences, they tend to ask, oh, you're so fortunate to have had these experiences. And yeah, sure, we are. But it's not that hard, actually, because the only ingredient that is required is a longing to have the experience of God. That will automatically pull you into the right circumstances. But most often it requires the courage to actually do it. And in our case, we took what some may consider a shortcut with psychedelics, but it takes some courage to actually break the law and also go into this experience so intensely, so fast.
It comes heads on.
Yeah. but it's the most amazing thing that I have done, and it's completely transformed my life and myself.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to talk about when you bring it up now with the fear and having the courage, because exactly as you say, I mean, before all these sessions that we do with psychedelics, there's always like a barrier of fear that you need to break through.
Yeah.
You just, because once you have this within you, there's going to happen something. You're going to be confronted with your higher self.
Yeah.
And breaking through that barrier, it might seem like it's a shortcut when you take psychedelics, but I don't think it is, because you do this, it happens faster, because in a moment you have to face everything within you that you need to break down in order to go through these experiences. But if you don't take psychedelics, you will need to do the same thing. You will need to break through all these barriers, but it will take a much longer time to do it, most likely.
I remember struggling with this thing myself for a very long time, that is this a shortcut? Is it bad to take a shortcut?
Yeah.
And I actually asked God the question during one of our sessions, and he said, who said it has to take a long time? Why is it wrong with an easy way, if you want to call it easy? It's easy to do, and it's fast, but it's not easy all the times.
Yeah.
Because what it also happens is what psychedelics do is that you have to confront yourself. And it's not always the bliss sides that shows up. It's also your luggage. And that can be very painful, as we have talked about. And
not only the luggage, but also going to the higher vibrations.
Yeah.
Of meeting your higher vibration, because you are not, when you are in your normal state of mind, you are vibrating at a much lower level.
Yeah.
And you're throwing yourself to a vibration that you haven't experienced before.
Yeah.
And that is something that is, once you go there for the first time, it becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
For sure. Because you are vibrating at a much higher vibration, basically.
Yeah. And also, it can be challenging, it can be physical demanding.
Yeah.
But the payoff is great.
Yeah.
But also, looking at your core fears can be very tough, but also intensely rewarding.
Yeah.
Because when you do it, when you actually look at your core fears, you cannot deny them, you see them for what they are. That's the only possibility to actually release them.
Yeah.
And when you do that, that's when the payoff really comes.
Yeah, and that's when you go up on these high vibrations as well. What can start happening is that a lot of fear comes in.
Yeah.
Am I able to handle this? Is this too much? You start thinking too much.
Yeah.
But the moment you go into it, and what I've learned quite recently is when you go to these higher vibrations and you just start to really analyze, what does it feel like?
Yeah.
You don't question, is this too strong? Is this too much? You just close down the mind and you start just trying to, what does it feel like to be here?
Yeah.
Then the mind goes at ease, the body goes at ease, and you just align with the vibration.
Yeah, you have to relax into it, because it's demanding and tough and rough when you kind of fight it.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to fight it. But when you relax into it, it's fine.
Yeah, so maybe we're not ready what Maharaji showed me at that time. At least I wasn't back then. But it was a really good experience, because it taught me that, all right, I need to be humble with this.
Yeah, and it's good to be humble.
Yeah. And I remember also I had a dream about Maharaji not long after, where I was, it was a lucid dream, so I was fully conscious within the dream. That can happen on a few occasions, but this was quite different, because I just remember I was completely aware of everything that was happening. I was out in the woods, and I found a small cabin in the woods. And within that cabin, Maharaji was sitting there meditating. And I just sat down next to him, and he told me that see if I remember this correctly, it was quite a long time ago, but it was he wanted me to meditate on trying to go through a mountain.
Yeah.
Like I was on point A and I wanted to reach point B, which was behind the mountain.
Okay.
And he said, like, if you want to achieve something in your life, if you want to, like, something to happen, you have to imagine that there is no mountain.
Yeah.
So once we start thinking about things that we want to happen in life,
Yeah.
we always see it as a big mountain ahead of us. Like we're standing on point A and we want to go to point B, but we are afraid to do it because we see a big mountain over there.
Yeah.
And we feel like if we want to do it, we have to really climb like Mount Everest before we're able to reach our destination. So what he thought me in the dream, like, let go of the thought that you have to climb the mountain.
Yeah.
See that there is no mountain.
Yeah. One thing that I experienced, I think it was a session quite close after this one. I was channeling information once again, and it had to do with what reality really is. And reality is ideas, a fantasy that we think is real when we are not awakened. We are in the sleep state, so to speak. We don't know, we're not enlightened. But the reason why we are unconscious of its true nature is because when we are in our high state, our God state, we create an idea that we explore as it was real. And the only way to really explore an idea as it is, and as it would be real, is to forget that it's not. So that's actually what we're doing here in the physical. We have created a universe which is only an idea. And we have chosen to forget our true nature so that we can explore this idea as it was real. And that's an amazing thing. But we have also designed it so that we will eventually realize that it's only an idea. And once we have reached that state, we can still stay in the idea, but we can alter it by removing the mountain if we want to, because it's only an idea and we are its creator.
That's what Maharaji showed me the next moment.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said now is, I was sitting there meditating next to him, and I was trying to remove the mountain with my thoughts. I like, there is no mountain. Like trying to, with the mind, trying to remove the mountain. And then he just took his hand and pressed it over my forehead. And I could just feel the force of God flowing through me. And once I was like riding the wave of God, it became no struggle. The mountain was just vanished instantly. So once you go into the experience of just flowing with the universe, just finding your true purpose and just going towards that purpose without any thought, the mountain will vanish instantly, because that's who you truly are.
If you wish it to.
Yeah.
Also, what I learned during this experience was that even every form you have, every experience you have is an idea. And even the experience of being God is an idea. You're not even that. Because when you have the experience of being God, all power, all loving bliss, that's just another idea that you can explore. But it's a hell of an idea. It's the best type of idea that it's possible, but it's still an idea, I learned. Because the absolute, our true nature, is actually nothingness. A kind of void from which all ideas are created. And even the idea of being God. And that's something that I hadn't understood before. I always thought that kind of God is the true nature. But God, as most people see as God, is only another concept, another idea. But you can be that idea. You can, because you must always experience an idea.
Yeah.
Because if you wasn't experiencing something, you wouldn't exist.
Mm.
So the void, the nothingness that we are, is always exploring ideas of what it could be. We are really nothing, but we must experience different ideas of what we could be. And the most perfect, most enjoyable idea is the idea of God.
Yeah. It's such an amazing thing that, like, from nothingness comes everything.
Yeah.
And including the idea of being God.
But the nothingness itself is also possible to experience.
Mm.
And in truth, we always are.
In the nothingness.
In the nothingness. We're just not aware of it. It's here right now.
Yeah.
And we are going to talk about this later, because this episode, in a way, ends our first exploration of psychedelics. After this experience, I think we took a 9-month break from psychedelics and kind of let all of the information sink in. And then I think it started, I had an intuition that we need to start again because something is about to happen.
Yeah. And we will cover that in the next episode.
In a few episodes, the upcoming episode, we will cover the next level, the next step in our own personal journeys. That a few experiences that really raised the bar quite a lot, basically.
Yeah,
And
I know we say that all the time, but it wasn't like this again. That's always raising the bar.
Yeah, the bar
That's
is
what you
always
do.
being raised. And what happened after this? I mean, when I think, if I look back 5 years, everything we have covered up to this episode, I would have been amazed of that, and I am. But what happened after this was just another level.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like everything has been preparation for a certain moment. I think that moment we have started to experience what this. Yeah, what is this moment basically? What is in this moment? That's when you get the true nature of what is really here.
Yeah.
That's when you really start to just say wow.
Yeah, and it will become harder and harder to explain.
Yeah.
Because the mind is no longer part of what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
But we will save that to upcoming episodes.
Yeah. So I think we're done for today.
Yeah.
So be sure to go to Maldorma.com for if you want to see the previous episodes, if you want to we have our books. You have the Illusion already out.
Yeah, The Illusion, a personal journey towards spiritual awakening, as it's called. It covers basically what we have been talking up to this episode.
Yeah.
And much more as well, because we don't have time to cover everything.
Yeah. And my book is, I know I've said this in many episodes, but it's almost done. So maybe one more month or so. We'll see.
It's actually weeks away in Swedish.
Yeah.
The translation will take some time longer, unfortunately, but it will be out.
So, but be sure to check out Maldorma.com. All the information will be out there.
And I also have to add, I have another book coming out right now as well. And that's actually already translated. And it's derived from one of my recent experiences. And it's called A Book About Love and Happiness.
Yeah.
It's a short one. And
it's going to be free.
It's going to be a free ebook. And it will also be available as a physical book at a low cost, or almost just a printing cost, basically. But I can talk about that in the next episode, perhaps.
Yeah. So, be sure to go to Maldorma.com, head in there and see all the episodes, all the material that we try to. We also are doing courses in breathing exercises and stuff like that. So, if you're in Sweden, in Örnsköldsvik area, or generally in Sweden, be sure to contact us. We would love to come and do it with you. Yeah,
we are teaching different breathing exercises and meditation techniques that are designed to prepare you for full enlightenment, basically. How to become enlightened.
To wake up.
To wake up, yeah. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, so be sure to check it out. So thank you for today.
Yeah. Thank you for listening.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.